Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds blinging, carols singing, favorite season. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. They said, say Nick, what you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack or in my bag, yeah. Frozen, neck is frozen, catch me rolling.
Yes, I agree. But Patrick Mahomes is really good, and his defense has been playing a lot better. But they're not quite one of the best defenses I've ever seen, not even close. But some of this next defenses we're going to talk about are some of the best defenses we have ever seen. This is our top 5 segment. Top 5 NFL defenses of all time. Nick?
Yeah, this is going to be a great segment. Do you mind if I get going? I'm really excited to go through these. I got a great
Absolutely.
list. Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm going to go first. So like you said, this is our top 5 defenses in NFL history. Last week was the offenses. This week, we're keeping it outright defensive. And I'm going to get started with number 5. For me, that's the 1992 Dallas Cowboys. So this Dallas team, this was the first Super Bowl championship team of the 90s where Dallas won 3 out of 4. This was by far the most dominant team in that group. They went 13-3. This defense was the number 1 defense in the NFL. They were laced with talent on both the front 7 with the defensive line and linebackers. Their back end at secondary was very good. They absolutely rolled through teams in the postseason, dominating Philly, beating up San Francisco, and then dropping 52 with multiple defensive touchdowns against the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl. A great year defensively for Dallas. They're number 5 on my list of top 5 defenses of all time. Number 4 for me is the 1990 New York Giants. This is another Super Bowl team led by Coach Bill Parcells, Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor. But more importantly, this team right here, the 1990s New York Giants, are the reason Bill Belichick exists today. It's the reason we have to put up with the Patriots all the time. Bill Belichick's game plan in upsetting the high-flying Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl in 1990 garnered mass attention and mass popularity. That game plan's in the Hall of Fame today. And because of that game and because of this defense, Belichick ended up rising higher through the coaching ranks, eventually coming to New England, where he's basically whooped on everybody ever since. Number 3 on the top 5 defenses in NFL history is, got to bring it up, another New England Patriot, another Bill Belichick-led defense. This is the 2004 New England Patriots. This was the 3rd Super Bowl in 4 years for the Patriots, went 14-2, gave up 16 points a game, really good defense. But what they probably were most known for was playing the all-time great offense, 2004 Indianapolis Colts, in the playoffs and holding them to just 3 points in one of the more surprising, dominant games in modern NFL history. We haven't seen an offense that great shut down like that probably ever. That's why I have the 2004 New England Patriots on this list at number 3. Number 2 for me is the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was a defense. They surrendered less than 200 points the entire regular season. That's one of the fewest point totals ever. They're led by Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice at the defensive end. Derek Brooks, great secondary led by Dexter Jackson. This defense scored 9 defensive touchdowns the entire year, an incredible number, including 2 big ones in the 4th quarter against the Oakland Raiders in the Super Bowl to capture the first championship for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers franchise. This is an all-time great defense, the 2002 Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And then number 1 on my list is the 85 Bears. This was the most dominant defense in NFL history. They had Richard Dent just gearing it up on the front 7, and they had Mike Singletary as the middle linebacker leading the crew. This defense was famous for running the 46, which was a very blitz-happy, super aggressive defense designed to get pressure on quarterbacks, and no one had an answer for it. They demolished great quarterbacks and great offenses all season long, culminating with a Super Bowl win in over the Patriots at the end of the season. They set the record for sacks in an NFL season. Mike Ditka is a Hall of Fame head coach because of this game. Buddy Ryan, their defensive coordinator, coached a lot of great seasons after this. This is an all-time great team and the most dominant defense I think we've ever seen in the NFL. And then I'm going to go to my underrated list. And when I think of underrated teams and underrated defenses, I got to pick the defense that has the title, the no-name defense. This is the 1972 undefeated Miami Dolphins defense. This was a team that never lost a game. They won every game they played in all season. The only team to do that in the Super Bowl era in NFL history. Yet no one knows half these guys on defense. They were a great team unit led by Don Shula, as the head coach of Miami at that time. They rolled through the playoffs. They didn't give up a single point in the Super Bowl in a win over the Washington Redskins. The only points that Miami gave up was on a special teams touchdown. Very, very dominant defense. They're all about playing team, fundamental football, good tackling, forced turnovers. Don't get a lot of publicity because, again, they're a no-name group, but I put them as the most underrated defense in NFL history.
Good discipline, strong teamwork. Reminds me of Citadel's defense. Just no penalties. Do what you got to do.
So a little fun trivia fact for you. So a linebacker for Miami Dolphins his name was Nick Buoniconti. His son was a linebacker who played at our alma mater, the Citadel.
Was he as good as his dad? I'm assuming no.
No, because he played at the Citadel.
Well, I'm going to get through my top 5 list. That yours is very good, though. I appreciate it, but I disagree with you on number 1, so we'll see who I chose. But my number 5, the 2015 Denver Broncos. This is a defense that it delivered every time it needed to. They won 11 games by 7 points or fewer. And they always were able to make the stop or make a key play. It had tons of players. Chris Harris Jr., Aqib Talib, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. A real star-studded cast on defense. And I remember even their safeties. I think Denzel Ward was one of their safeties. They were a very scary defense to play in that Super Bowl run. And they even won the Super Bowl that season. It was the top-ranked defense in the league. Had 7 turnovers. In 7 they had 4 offensive touchdowns, 7 turnovers, and 14 sacks in the playoffs. So that's pretty astounding, that in and of itself. My number 4 defense, and I put them low on purpose, possibly, was the 1976 Pittsburgh Steelers. Some would put them, a little bit higher, but I digress. As being a Steelers, they're a little lower for me. This part of the Steel Curtain defenses of old. You got Mean Joe Green. I have the linebacker on screen, but his name is currently escaping me. Who didn't have any teeth? Jack Lambert. They're just studs, It was a great defense. I mean, they might have had the best string of defensive in NFL history. But it's the Steelers. I mean, who are you kidding? They probably weren't that good, though. I mean, no one's that good. But a defense that was actually very, very good. My number 3 defense is the 2013 Seattle Seahawks. When you think of good defense, when you think of good secondary, who do you think of? You think Seattle. You think Legion of Boom. Famous words. I believe they ran famous Pete Carroll cover 3-ish system. They had tons of points, tons of yards and turnovers. They completely shut down the Peyton Manning-led Broncos in the Super Bowl. They had key players, Cam Chancellor, Richard Sherman, and that other safety who doesn't even play in the NFL anymore because he was a character concern for many teams. But we don't really talk about him that much. But it was such a prolific defense. It was actually really scary. I think they were even scarier than the Denver Broncos at the time. Nobody wanted to play Seattle. My number 2 defense, the 1991 Philadelphia Eagles. Now talk about a unit here. Randall Cunningham as the quarterback of the offense was scary enough. But when you have Jerome Brown, you have Reggie White. These guys were crazy on defense. They could blow through anybody at any time. Tons of sacks. They led the league in passing and rushing yards allowed, the least amount by anyone. Unfortunately, this is the year that Jerome Brown tragically did pass away, but it was a part of the team. it was a great defense, and I think maybe they band together a little bit harder for that. But my number one defense of all time, without question, I don't think anyone who's sane at all could possibly argue this. The 2000 Baltimore Ravens. Got guys like Tony Siragusa, you got guys like Ray Lewis. And why I think this defense was so great, because if you think about it, this could possibly be the only defense to win a Super Bowl. Because this was arguably the worst offense of all time to make it to the Super Bowl. You can really name no one. Trent Dilfer's on the offense. I know he's on TV now, but folks, don't let him fool you. He was a terrible quarterback. And this is a point I like to say. Why do all the terrible quarterbacks get all of the big gigs? You know, got Dan Orlovsky, Trent Dilfer. But 2000 Baltimore Ravens, they literally shut out so many people. They only allowed 9.4 points per game. That's absolutely insane. So 2000 Ravens, my top defense of all time. And my honorable mention, I'm slightly biased. I have again gone back into the Raven well. The 2011 Baltimore Ravens defense. They almost made it to the Super Bowl this year, but led by Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, Ed Reed, so many, Haloti Ngata, all kinds of players all around the ball. Tons of playmakers, tons of really big names on this defense. And they were just the time when Baltimore's defense was scary. You step on the field and you see Ray Lewis, 52, Ed Reed, 20 back there. You got to know where they are at all times. So that's my list.
Yeah, good on you for. I knew you were going to put at least two Baltimore teams up there, but good on you for at least including the Pittsburgh Steelers. I was wondering if you were going to even mention a Steelers or a Browns defense, and you did. So credit to you, Mize. That's good job, good professionalism.
I'm feeling charitable this Christmas, so
it is the giving season. You're right.
But you got up in that bag, yeah. I got racks in my sack, hurt my back, yeah. They said, "Say Nick, but you got up in that bag, yeah." I got racks.